spit literacy. Only dictionary I see is a dictionary, don't get in between. Get it or leave, they give me a beat, I rip it to pieces. They witness and leave, they disbelieve it. It's word to the wise. Only dictionary I see is a dictionary, no word of a lie. They give me a beat, I serve it on sight. You heard me, I'm serving it, verbal and turbulent words on the verge of a vertical rise. I got the words on the lines, it's word to the wise. They like word to the wise, so word to the wise. Word to the wise. Word to the wise, yeah, it's word to the wise. Only dictionary I see is a dictionary, no word of a lie. So word to the wise, word to the wise. I got the words on the lines, it's word to the wise. They like word to the wise, and I only read dictionaries. Only dictionary I see is a dictionary, get it or leave, they disbelieve it. And I only read dictionaries. Only dictionary I see is a dictionary, get it or leave, they disbelieve it.
This course provides foundational knowledge and skills in literacy. It likely covers basic reading, writing, and potentially oral communication relevant to the J.O.L.L.F specific context and needs. The aim is to equip individuals with the essential literacy abilities required for their roles and responsibilities within the J.O.L.A.L.F. If we don't live in the same vibe, it is hard to be aware of each other. When our reading differs from our neighbor's reality, our surroundings may take a range of discordant shades and daily episodes become unrecognizable. But if we endeavor to find out, the who is who, the what is what and the where is Waldo, we might demonstrate our social literacy and connectedness. Fish for silence. Eric Pavirnagia. Literacy is the ability to read and write, understand, and use language to function effectively in society. It encompasses more than just decoding words, it involves comprehension, critical thinking, and communication. Proficient literacy empowers individuals to learn, engage, and participate fully in their communities. It is a fundamental skill for personal growth and societal progress. Global literacy. The global literacy rate for individuals aged 15 and above is 86.3%. February 2025. 90% of males and 82.7% of females are literate. Developed nations boast literacy rates of 96% or higher. Least developed countries have an average literacy rate of only 65%. Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia have the lowest literacy rates. Nearly two-thirds of the world's illiterate adults are female. Literature encompasses written works, often considered art forms, that explore human experiences, emotions, and ideas through language. It can take various forms, such as novels, poems, plays, and short stories, employing creative and aesthetic qualities. Literature often reflects cultural contexts, historical periods, and diverse perspectives, inviting readers to interpret and engage with different realities. Through its imaginative and expressive nature, literature can entertain, educate, and provoke thought, contributing to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. General reading. Around half of adults in the U.S. read at least one book for pleasure annually. Fiction decline. U.S. novel and short story reading has decreased in the U.S. around 37% in 2022. Lower reading rates. Australia, a significant portion of Australians read very few or no books per year. Literacy impact: low literacy levels in both countries limit engagement with complex literature. Genre preferences: popular genres like mystery may overshadow specific engagement with literary fiction. Data limitations: specific statistics solely on literature as an art form are not commonly tracked. Literacy foundation: strong literacy is essential for widespread appreciation of literature. Declining trend: there are indications of a decline in reading for pleasure, particularly fiction in the U.S. Literacy is the ability to read and write, enabling comprehension and communication through language. Numeracy is the ability to understand and work with numbers, crucial for problem solving and interpreting data. Both are foundational skills empowering individuals to navigate daily life, participate in society, and access further education and employment. Deficiencies in either literacy or numeracy can significantly hinder personal and economic well-being. Across OECD countries, an average of 25% of adults have low proficiency in numeracy score at level 1 or below on the PIAAC scale. Only about 14% of adults in OECD countries score at the highest proficiency levels in numeracy levels 4 or 5. There's a wide variation in numeracy skills among OECD countries, with the percentage of low proficient adults ranging from 10% in Japan to 56% in Chile. A 1 standard deviation increase in numeracy skills is associated with a 9% increase in hourly wages across participating OECD countries. Syllabus, course goal: to equip individuals with essential reading, writing, and basic oral communication skills for everyday life and work. Key learning areas: reading, understanding basic texts, instructions, and information. Writing, creating clear notes, messages, and simple forms. Speaking and listening, communicating effectively in common situations. Vocabulary, building a foundational understanding of words. Comprehension, grasping the meaning of written and spoken language. Learning methods, practical exercises, reading and writing tasks, and communication practice. Assessment, participation and basic skill demonstrations. Outcome, improved ability to read, write, and communicate effectively in daily contexts. All over the world there are enormous numbers of smart, even gifted, people who harbor a passion for science. But that passion is unrequited. Surveys suggest that some 95% of Americans are scientifically illiterate. That's just the same fraction as those African Americans, almost all of them slaves, who were illiterate just before the Civil War when severe penalties were in force for anyone who taught a slave to read. Of course there's a degree of arbitrariness about any determination of illiteracy, whether it applies to language or to science. But anything like 95% illiteracy is extremely serious. Carl Sagan, The Demon-Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark. The genesis of literacy is a long and complex process, deeply intertwined with the development of human civilization and the need to record and communicate information beyond the limitations of spoken language and memory. While spoken language has existed for millennia, the emergence of systematic writing systems marks the true origin of literacy. The earliest forms of proto-writing, which used symbols and tokens for counting and record-keeping, appeared as far back as the 7th millennium BCE. However, these systems lacked the structure and complexity to fully represent spoken language. The first true writing systems are believed to have independently arisen in a few key locations around the world during the late 4th and 3rd millennia BCE. Southern Mesopotamia is widely considered the cradle of writing, with the Sumerian civilization developing cuneiform script around 3200 BCE. Initially used for administrative and economic purposes, such as tracking goods and transactions, Cuneiform evolved over time to represent more abstract concepts and eventually phonetic sounds, paving the way for literature and more complex forms of communication. Around the same period, in Egypt, hieroglyphic writing emerged c. 3300 to 3100 BCE. This system, characterized by pictorial symbols, was closely linked to royal power and religious beliefs, often used in monumental inscriptions and religious texts. While hieroglyphs contained phonetic elements, they retained a strong visual and symbolic character. Independently, writing also developed in other regions. In China, the earliest known systematic writing dates back to the Shang dynasty c. 1200 BCE with oracle bone inscriptions used for divination. These early Chinese characters are the ancestors of the modern Chinese script and demonstrate an independent trajectory of development. In Mesoamerica, writing systems used by the Olmec and Zapotec civilizations appeared between 900 and 400 BCE, utilizing glyphs and numerical notations for calendrical and royal purposes, representing another independent invention. The Indus Valley Civilization also developed a script around 2600 to 2000 BCE, though it remains undeciphered. Early literacy was not widespread. In most ancient societies, the ability to read and write was a specialized skill primarily confined to a small elite, such as scribes, priests, and rulers, who used it for administrative, religious, and political control. The development of more accessible writing systems, such as alphabets, marked a significant step towards broader literacy. The first alphabetic writing appeared in the Sinai Peninsula before 2000 BCE, used by Semitic speakers. The Phoenician alphabet c. 1050 BCE, a descendant of this early system, was particularly influential, spreading across the Mediterranean through trade and serving as the basis for the Greek alphabet, which notably added vowels to the consonant-based system. The Greek alphabet, in turn, gave rise to the Latin alphabet, the most widely used script today. The invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg in the 15th century revolutionized the dissemination of written materials, making books more accessible and contributing significantly to the growth of literacy across wider segments of society. Over subsequent centuries, with the rise of mass education and increasing societal value placed on literacy, the ability to read and write has transitioned from a specialized skill to a fundamental requirement for full participation in modern life. The journey from rudimentary symbols to widespread literacy has been a transformative process, shaping how humans communicate, learn, and preserve knowledge across generations. Case study: the gradual genesis of linguistic literacy. Linguistic literacy emerged slowly and independently in various regions, evolving from basic record-keeping to the representation of spoken language. Initially confined to elites for administrative and religious purposes, the development of alphabets increased accessibility. The printing press revolutionized dissemination, transforming literacy from a specialized skill to a fundamental societal requirement, profoundly shaping communication and knowledge across generations. Before the widespread development and emphasis on numeracy, literacy held a distinct, though limited, distribution across societies. Those who possessed literacy were primarily the elite, including rulers, priests, and administrators. Literacy was a tool of power, enabling governance, record-keeping for resources, laws, and religious texts, and the maintenance of social hierarchies. Scribes, often specially trained, formed a professional class who wielded significant influence due to their ability to read and write. Access to education, the means by which literacy was acquired, was largely restricted by social standing and wealth. Conversely, the vast majority of the population was illiterate. This included farmers, laborers, artisans, and enslaved people. Their lives and knowledge were primarily rooted in oral traditions, practical skills passed down through generations, and visual cues. Without the ability to read or write, they were often excluded from formal legal and administrative processes, relying on the literate elite for information and decision-making. Case study: social literacy before widespread numeracy. Before widespread numeracy, social literacy, the ability to navigate social structures through written communication, was highly unequal. A small elite wielded this power for governance and control, while the illiterate majority were excluded from formal systems, relying on oral traditions and practical knowledge within a society defined by this literacy divide. The philosophy of literacy extends far beyond the mere technical ability to decode and encode written symbols. At its core lies the understanding of literacy as a fundamental human right and a cornerstone of individual autonomy and societal progress. Philosophically, literacy empowers individuals by granting access to the vast repository of human knowledge, enabling critical thinking, and fostering self-expression. It is not simply a skill but a transformative capacity that allows individuals to engage more fully with the world around them, to understand diverse perspectives, and to participate actively in democratic processes. From a philosophical standpoint, literacy is deeply intertwined with concepts of freedom and agency. The ability to read and write equips individuals with the tools to question authority, to form their own opinions based on information, and to advocate for their beliefs. Illiteracy, conversely, can be seen as a form of disenfranchisement, limiting access to information and hindering the ability to participate meaningfully in civic life. Philosophers have long argued that an informed citizenry is essential for a just and equitable society, and literacy is the bedrock upon which such informed participation is built. Furthermore, the philosophy of literacy acknowledges its profound impact on the development of consciousness and selfhood. Engaging with written texts allows for reflection, introspection, and the exploration of complex ideas. Through reading, individuals encounter different worlds, perspectives, and experiences, broadening their understanding of themselves and others. Writing, in turn, provides a means for individuals to articulate their thoughts, feelings, and experiences, contributing to their sense of identity and their ability to connect with others across time and space. Case study: visual literacy as empowerment and agency. Philosophically, visual literacy transcends basic image recognition, serving as a fundamental human right that empowers individuals with access to visual knowledge, critical interpretation, and visual self-expression. It fosters autonomy and agency in a visually saturated world, enabling individuals to question visual narratives, form informed perspectives, and participate actively in visual culture. Conversely, a lack of visual literacy can lead to disempowerment and manipulation. Furthermore, visual literacy shapes understanding and connection through the interpretation and creation of visual information, making it a transformative capacity essential for navigating and contributing to contemporary society. Layperson literacy, in essence, refers to the level of reading, writing, and comprehension skills possessed by the general public, those without specialized training or expertise in a particular field. It signifies the baseline literacy necessary for individuals to navigate everyday life effectively, understand common informational texts, and participate meaningfully in society. This encompasses the ability to read news articles, understand basic instructions, complete forms, interpret public signage, and engage with written communication from various sources, including government agencies, healthcare providers, and businesses. Crucially, layperson literacy goes beyond simply decoding words on a page. It involves the capacity to understand the meaning conveyed, to interpret the information accurately, and to draw basic inferences. It requires a functional vocabulary and a grasp of fundamental grammatical structures. Furthermore, in an increasingly complex world, Layperson literacy also necessitates a degree of critical thinking, the ability to evaluate the reliability of sources, identify bias, and distinguish between fact and opinion in everyday texts. The level of layperson literacy within a society has significant implications for individual well-being and societal progress. Individuals with strong layperson literacy skills tend to have better health outcomes, greater economic opportunities, and a higher capacity for civic engagement. They are better equipped to understand health information, manage their finances, and participate in informed decision-making within their communities. Conversely, low levels of layperson literacy can create significant barriers to accessing essential services, understanding legal documents, and fully participating in democratic processes, potentially leading to social exclusion and vulnerability. Therefore, fostering and maintaining a high level of layperson literacy across the population is a crucial goal for any society aiming for equity, informed citizenry, and overall well-being. Case study: Layperson political literacy. Layperson political literacy, the foundational reading, writing, and comprehension skills applied to civic information, is crucial for informed participation in a democracy. Individuals with strong political literacy can understand election materials, analyze policy proposals, and critically evaluate political discourse. Conversely, low political literacy hinders effective civic engagement, making individuals susceptible to misinformation and limiting their ability to hold elected officials accountable. A significant gap in layperson political literacy within a population can undermine democratic processes and lead to less representative governance. Pedagogical literacy, at its heart, signifies a teacher's deep and nuanced understanding of the art and science of teaching and learning. It extends beyond simply knowing subject matter content to encompass a comprehensive grasp of how learning happens, the diverse needs of learners, and the most effective strategies to facilitate their growth. Pedagogically literate educators possess a keen awareness of learning theories, child development, and the social and emotional factors that influence student engagement and achievement. They understand how to create inclusive and supportive learning environments where all students feel valued and empowered to take risks. Furthermore, pedagogical literacy involves a teacher's ability to critically analyze and adapt their instructional practices based on evidence and reflection. It requires a continuous engagement with current research, a willingness to experiment with different approaches, and the capacity to assess the impact of their teaching on student learning. This includes understanding various assessment methods, interpreting student data, and using that information to inform future instruction. A pedagogically literate teacher is a reflective practitioner who constantly seeks to improve their craft and tailor their methods to meet the unique learning profiles of their students. Beyond instructional strategies and assessment, pedagogical literacy also encompasses a teacher's understanding of curriculum design and implementation. It involves the ability to interpret curriculum documents, align instruction with learning standards, and make informed decisions about the selection and use of resources. A pedagogically literate educator can connect curriculum content to students' prior knowledge and real-world experiences, making learning more meaningful and relevant. They also understand the importance of fostering interdisciplinary connections and promoting higher-order thinking skills. In essence, pedagogical literacy is the bedrock of effective teaching, enabling educators to make informed decisions that ultimately lead to positive and lasting learning outcomes for all students. Case study: Critical literacy in action. Critical literacy empowers individuals to move beyond passively reading text to actively analyzing power dynamics, social injustices, and biases embedded within messages. For example, when students critically analyze news articles about immigration, they don't just absorb the presented information. Instead, they question the source's perspective, identify potential stereotypes, explore whose voices are marginalized, and consider alternative narratives. This active engagement fosters critical thinking and a deeper understanding of how texts shape our perceptions of the world, ultimately leading to more informed and socially conscious citizens. Statistical literacy is the ability to understand, interpret, critically evaluate, and communicate about statistical information and data-related arguments. It goes beyond simply knowing basic mathematical concepts related to statistics. It encompasses the capacity to make sense of the numbers and statistical evidence that permeate our daily lives, from news reports and advertisements to policy discussions and personal decisions. A statistically literate individual can understand concepts like averages, percentages, probabilities, and margins of error, and critically assess how these are used to support claims or present information. Furthermore, statistical literacy involves understanding the limitations of data and statistical methods. This includes recognizing potential sources of bias, questioning the validity of sampling techniques, and being aware that correlation does not equal causation. It requires a healthy skepticism towards statistical claims and the ability to ask relevant questions about the data, its collection, and its interpretation. For instance, a statistically literate person encountering a claim that 80% of dentists recommend a certain toothpaste would likely question the sample size, how the recommendation was solicited, and what the other 20% recommended. Hypothesis testing, moving beyond basic tests like t-tests to understand more complex experimental designs and the nuances of statistical significance, including issues like type I and type II errors and the power of a test. Regression analysis, understanding multiple regression, which examines the relationship between a dependent variable and multiple independent variables, including concepts like multicollinearity and interaction effects. They would also need to comprehend nonlinear regression models for more complex relationships. Analysis of variance ANOVA, moving beyond comparing two groups to understanding how to compare means across multiple groups and analyze the effects of multiple factors and their interactions on an outcome. This includes understanding different ANOVA designs like factorial ANOVA and repeated measures ANOVA. Multivariate statistics, comprehending techniques that analyze multiple variables simultaneously, such as factor analysis to reduce the dimensionality of data, cluster analysis to group similar observations, and discriminate analysis to classify observations into groups. Time series analysis, understanding methods for analyzing data points indexed in time order, such as ARIMA models, to identify trends, seasonality, and make forecasts. Bayesian statistics, understanding an alternative framework for statistical inference that incorporates prior beliefs into the analysis and results in a probability distribution over the parameters rather than just point estimates and p-values. Non-parametric statistics, knowing when and how to use statistical methods that do not rely on assumptions about the distribution of the data, such as the Mann-Whitney U-test or Kruskal-Wallis test. Firstly, the idea that functional literacy levels move beyond a simple literate-illiterate binary is crucial. It acknowledges that even individuals who can technically read and write may struggle with the complex literacy demands of modern life. For instance, a person might be able to read a simple sentence but struggle to understand the instructions on a medicine bottle or interpret a bus schedule. Assessments like the Program for the International Assessment of Adult Competencies (PIAC) reveal that in many developed nations, a significant percentage of adults score at the lower levels of functional literacy, indicating difficulties with tasks requiring higher-order comprehension and problem-solving using written information. This has profound implications for employment, health literacy, and civic engagement. Secondly, examining literacy by domain provides a more granular understanding of specific skill gaps. An individual might possess strong prose literacy, meaning they can understand narrative texts, but struggle with document literacy, such as interpreting legal contracts or government forms. Similarly, numeracy, while distinct, is closely related and involves the ability to understand and use mathematical information in everyday contexts. Data broken down by these domains can highlight specific areas where educational interventions are most needed. For example, a workforce might have generally good reading skills but lack the document literacy required for complex technical manuals. Thirdly, the integration of literacy and digital skills is increasingly vital. In today's society, the ability to read and write is often intertwined with the ability to navigate digital environments. This includes not only reading online text but also critically evaluating the credibility of online sources, understanding issues of online safety and privacy, and effectively communicating through digital platforms. Advanced data in this area explores the spectrum of digital literacy, from basic computer skills to more sophisticated abilities in information literacy and digital content creation. The digital divide, where certain populations have less access to or proficiency in digital technologies, further exacerbates existing literacy inequalities. Fourthly, focusing on literacy and specific populations reveals often stark disparities. Indigenous communities, for example, may face unique challenges related to language, cultural context, and historical factors that impact literacy acquisition. Linguistic minorities may require tailored educational approaches that consider their first language. Incarcerated individuals often have lower levels of literacy, which can hinder their rehabilitation and reintegration into society. Similarly, people with disabilities may require specific accommodations and support to develop their literacy skills. Detailed data on these subpopulations is essential for developing targeted and effective interventions that address their specific needs. Fifthly, longitudinal literacy data offers a dynamic view of literacy development over time. Instead of just a snapshot, these studies track how individuals' literacy skills evolve, what factors influence their growth or decline, and the long-term impact of educational interventions. This type of data can provide valuable insights into the effectiveness of different teaching methods and the lasting effects of early literacy experiences. For instance, a longitudinal study might track the reading development of children who received intensive early literacy support compared to those who did not. Sixthly, qualitative literacy data provides a deeper, more nuanced understanding of the human experience of literacy. Through interviews, case studies, and ethnographic research, we can gain insights into individuals' attitudes towards reading and writing, the role literacy plays in their lives, and the social and cultural contexts that shape their literacy practices. This type of data can complement quantitative data by providing the why behind the numbers, revealing the lived realities and perspectives of individuals with varying levels of literacy. Finally, research into the neurological and cognitive aspects of literacy offers a scientific understanding of how the brain learns to read and write. This includes identifying the brain regions involved in different aspects of literacy processing and understanding the cognitive factors that can contribute to reading difficulties like dyslexia. This advanced data is crucial for developing evidence-based instructional strategies and interventions for individuals with learning disabilities, leading to more effective and targeted support. Case study: the imperative of complex literacy. While basic literacy data indicates increasing reading and writing abilities, a deeper analysis reveals the critical need for complex literacy. Functional literacy assessments demonstrate that many struggle with applying literacy skills to sophisticated tasks. Domain-specific data highlights uneven proficiencies across prose, document, and numeracy. Furthermore, considering digital literacy, the nuanced needs of specific populations, longitudinal development, qualitative experiences, and the cognitive science of reading underscores that navigating modern society demands more than foundational skills. Complex literacy, encompassing critical thinking, analysis, synthesis, and application across diverse texts and contexts, is essential for individual empowerment, informed participation, and societal advancement, necessitating educational approaches that cultivate these higher-order abilities. Computer literacy, in its comprehensive form, extends far beyond the basic ability to turn on a computer and use a mouse. It represents a multifaceted understanding and skillful application of computer hardware, software, the internet, and related technologies to effectively navigate the digital world and accomplish a wide range of tasks. A truly computer-literate individual possesses not only the foundational skills to operate common software applications like word processors, spreadsheets, and presentation tools, but also the capacity to understand fundamental computer concepts, manage files and folders efficiently, and troubleshoot basic technical issues. Furthermore, in today's interconnected society, computer literacy is inextricably linked with internet literacy. This encompasses the ability to navigate the World Wide Web effectively, utilize search engines to find reliable information, understand online communication tools such as email and instant messaging, and engage safely and ethically in online environments. This includes recognizing and avoiding online scams, understanding basic cybersecurity principles, and being aware of issues related to digital privacy and responsible online behavior. Beyond basic usage and internet navigation, a deeper level of computer literacy involves the capacity to critically evaluate digital information, understand the impact of technology on society, and adapt to the ever-evolving technological landscape. It may also include skills in areas such as data management, digital content creation including text, images, and videos, and even a foundational understanding of programming concepts. The level of computer literacy required varies depending on an individual's profession, personal needs, and engagement with technology, but a strong foundation is increasingly essential for full participation in the modern economy, education, and civic life. Case study: the multifaceted nature of ecological literacy. Ecological literacy transcends basic environmental awareness, encompassing a deep understanding of ecological principles, interconnectedness within natural systems, and the impact of human actions on the environment. An ecologically literate individual can comprehend complex ecological processes, critically evaluate environmental issues, and apply this knowledge to make responsible decisions that promote sustainability. This involves understanding concepts like biodiversity, nutrient cycles, and climate change, as well as possessing the capacity to engage in environmentally conscious behaviors and advocate for ecological well-being in a rapidly changing world. Cyclic literacy, in essence, describes a learning process where understanding and skill development in literacy are not linear but rather iterative and reinforcing. It suggests that learning to read, write, and comprehend is an ongoing cycle of engagement, practice, reflection, and application, with each stage informing and enhancing the others. This perspective moves away from the idea of literacy as a fixed state achieved upon mastering basic skills, and instead emphasizes its continuous development through repeated interactions with texts and language. In a cyclic model, a learner might encounter a text, decode the word's initial engagement, then strive to understand its meaning comprehension. This understanding then informs their subsequent reading experiences, allowing them to approach new texts with more background knowledge and better strategies application. Following reading or writing, reflection on the process, what was easy, what was challenging, what was learned, becomes crucial. This reflection then feeds back into the learner's preparation for future literacy tasks, influencing their focus and approach reinforcement. Furthermore, cyclic literacy acknowledges that learning often occurs through repeated exposure and interaction with concepts and skills in different contexts and at increasing levels of complexity. For example, a child might learn to recognize a simple word in isolation, then encounter it in a sentence, later in a paragraph, and eventually in a more complex narrative. Each encounter reinforces their understanding and expands their ability to use that word effectively. Similarly, writing skills develop through cycles of drafting, receiving feedback, revising, and applying those revisions in new writing tasks. Case study: the iterative nature of cyclic literacy. Cyclic literacy posits that reading, writing, and comprehension develop through an ongoing loop of engagement, practice, reflection, and application. Learners encounter texts, strive for understanding, apply that knowledge to new literacy tasks, and reflect on their process. This iterative engagement, with repeated exposure and increasing complexity, reinforces skills and deepens understanding, emphasizing continuous development over a fixed endpoint in literacy acquisition. Musical literacy, at its core, signifies the ability to read, write, and understand musical notation, akin to linguistic literacy for spoken language. It extends beyond simply recognizing notes on a staff to encompass a comprehensive grasp of the symbols and conventions that composers use to communicate their musical ideas. A musically literate individual can decipher the elements of a musical score, including pitch represented by note placement on the staff, rhythm indicated by note values and time signatures, dynamic symbols for loudness and softness, tempo instructions for speed, articulation markings for how notes should be played or sung, and harmony understanding chords and their progressions. Furthermore, musical literacy involves more than just decoding symbols, it encompasses an oral component, the ability to hear the music internally upon seeing the notation. A truly musically literate person can often anticipate how a written passage will sound, recognizing melodic contours, rhythmic patterns, and harmonic relationships. This internal hearing allows for a deeper engagement with the music, enabling more informed performance, interpretation, and even composition. Beyond the technical aspects of reading and writing notation, musical literacy also implies a broader understanding of musical concepts, theory, and history. It involves recognizing different musical forms, styles, and genres, and understanding the cultural and historical contexts in which music was created. This deeper understanding enriches the experience of listening to, performing, and creating music, fostering a more profound appreciation for the art form. Ultimately, musical literacy empowers individuals to engage with music on a more intellectual and expressive level, unlocking a richer and more meaningful relationship with sound. Case study: musical literacy and foundational notation. Musical literacy, akin to textual literacy, is predicated on the comprehension and manipulation of a symbolic system. Proficiency necessitates a thorough understanding of foundational notational elements, specifically pitch representation via staff placement and clefs, and temporal organization through note values and meter signatures. Deficiencies in either domain, such as an inadequate grasp of intervallic relationships or complex rhythmic subdivisions, directly impede the accurate decoding, sight reading, and encoding transcription composition of musical information. Consequently, a robust grounding in these technical primitives is a prerequisite for advanced musical literacy and engagement with sophisticated musical structures. Literal literacy represents the most fundamental level of reading comprehension, focusing on the explicit and directly stated information within a text. It involves the ability to decode written symbols and understand their surface-level meaning. A literally literate individual can identify facts, recall details, understand the sequence of events as presented, and recognize the main ideas if they are clearly stated within the text. This level of literacy centers on what the author is actually saying, requiring the reader to extract information that is overtly present on the lines of the text. It involves basic skills such as recognizing vocabulary, understanding sentence structure, and following explicit directions or instructions. While foundational, Literal literacy is a crucial building block for more complex levels of comprehension, enabling individuals to grasp the basic content before engaging in interpretation, analysis, or evaluation of the material. Without a solid grounding in literal literacy, accessing deeper meanings and engaging critically with texts becomes significantly challenging. Case study: literal lemmas in textual analysis. In advanced textual analysis, focusing on literal lemmas, the base or dictionary form of words as they appear explicitly in a text, provides a foundational layer of understanding. For example, analyzing the literal lemmas in a political speech reveals the precise vocabulary chosen by the speaker, highlighting the frequency of specific nouns, e.g. economy, security, verbs, e.g. strengthen, protect, and adjectives, e.g. strong, stable. This direct examination of the surface-level word choices, without immediate consideration of connotation or figurative language, offers an objective starting point for identifying key themes and the speaker's literal focus before more nuanced interpretations are applied. Tuple literacy, in the context of computer science and data handling, signifies the ability to understand, interpret, and effectively work with tuples as a fundamental data structure. This involves comprehending the core characteristics of tuples, such as their ordered nature, immutability meaning their elements cannot be changed after creation, and the fact that they can contain a heterogeneous collection of items, different data types within the same tuple. A tuple-literate individual understands how to create tuples, access individual elements within a tuple using indexing, and perform common operations like slicing to extract subsets of elements. Furthermore, tuple literacy extends to recognizing the appropriate use cases for tuples. Because of their immutability, tuples are often employed to represent fixed collections of related data, such as coordinates x, y, database records, or items that should not be modified after their initial assignment. Understanding when to choose a tuple over other data structures like lists which are mutable is a key aspect of tuple literacy. This involves considering the constraints and requirements of a particular programming task and leveraging the specific properties of tuples to ensure data integrity and code clarity. Beyond basic manipulation and application, tuple literacy also encompasses an understanding of how tuples interact with other programming constructs, such as loops, functions where they are often used for returning multiple values, and data unpacking techniques. It also involves recognizing the efficiency benefits that tuples can offer in certain situations due to their immutable nature. Ultimately, tuple literacy is a foundational skill for anyone working with data in programming languages like Python, enabling them to structure, access, and manage ordered collections of information effectively. Case study: academic literacy as a gateway. Academic literacy, encompassing the specialized reading, writing, speaking, and critical thinking skills required for success in educational settings, acts as a crucial gateway to disciplinary knowledge. For instance, a student transitioning to university must develop the academic literacy to comprehend complex scholarly articles, synthesize information from diverse sources, participate in academic discourse, and produce well-structured, evidence-based essays. Deficiencies in any of these areas can significantly hinder their ability to engage with course material, understand disciplinary conventions, and ultimately succeed in their chosen field of study. Mastering academic literacy is therefore fundamental for navigating the demands of higher education and accessing specialized knowledge. Scientific literacy is the ability to understand and apply scientific concepts, processes, and practices in order to make informed decisions, participate effectively in public discourse on science-related issues, and appreciate the role of science in the natural and technological world. It goes beyond simply knowing scientific facts. A scientifically literate individual can identify scientific questions, gather and interpret evidence, draw evidence-based conclusions, and understand the tentative and self-correcting nature of scientific knowledge. This involves understanding the scientific method, the difference between hypotheses, theories, and laws, and the importance of empirical evidence and logical reasoning. Furthermore, scientific literacy encompasses the capacity to communicate scientific information effectively, both verbally and in writing, to diverse audiences. It includes the ability to critically evaluate scientific claims presented in the media or by other sources, to identify pseudoscience and misinformation, and to understand the potential benefits and limitations of scientific advancements. A scientifically literate person is also aware of the social, ethical, and political implications of scientific research and technological development, and can engage in informed discussions about these issues. Ultimately, scientific literacy empowers individuals to be active and responsible citizens in a world increasingly shaped by science and technology. Case study: Source literacy in the information ecosystem. Source literacy, a critical component of media literacy, focuses specifically on the ability to evaluate the credibility and reliability of information sources. For instance, when researching a health topic online, a source-literate individual will go beyond simply reading the information to investigate the website's authorship, its funding, its stated purpose, the evidence cited, and its potential biases. This rigorous evaluation process enables individuals to discern trustworthy sources from those that may be inaccurate, misleading, or driven by specific agendas, ultimately leading to more informed understanding and decision-making in an information-rich environment. Deep literacy moves beyond surface-level comprehension to involve a profound and engaged interaction with the text. It's characterized by the reader's ability to not only understand the explicit meaning but also to anticipate the author's intent, connect the text to their existing knowledge in a meaningful way, and engage in a dialectical process that can lead to original insights. This goes beyond simply decoding words, it involves actively processing the text, reflecting on its implications, and forming a personal connection with the material. Deep literacy fosters critical thinking, abstract reasoning, creativity, imagination, and empathy. It's a slow, deliberate process that requires sustained attention and cognitive patience, allowing the reader to delve into the nuances of language, explore complex ideas, and build a rich understanding that extends beyond the literal. This type of reading shapes not only our understanding of the world but also the very neural pathways in our brains, enhancing our capacity for thought and insight. Case study: Cultivating literacy depth. Developing literacy depth involves moving beyond basic comprehension to engage with texts in a profound and meaningful way. For example, a student reading a novel for depth will not only follow the plot but also analyze character motivations, explore underlying themes, connect the narrative to broader social contexts, and reflect on their personal response to the story. This active and reflective engagement fosters deeper understanding, critical thinking, and a more enduring connection with the text, demonstrating literacy depth in action. A book desert is a geographical area where access to printed books and other reading materials is severely limited or non-existent. This scarcity is particularly impactful for children and families without reliable transportation or sufficient financial resources to purchase books. The lack of bookstores, public libraries with adequate funding and reach, and even a limited presence of books within homes characterizes these environments. Consequently, individuals growing up in book deserts have significantly reduced opportunities to develop foundational literacy skills, build vocabulary, and cultivate a love for reading, which can have long-lasting negative consequences on their educational attainment, future employment prospects, and overall well-being. The term highlights a critical issue of equity in access to resources that are fundamental for literacy development and lifelong learning. Case study: Overcoming book deserts through mobile literacy initiatives. In a remote, low-income region classified as a book desert, a mobile library program was launched, delivering a curated selection of age-appropriate books directly to community centers and schools. Initially, literacy levels among children were significantly below national averages. Over 3 years, the consistent access to diverse reading materials, coupled with engaging storytelling sessions and reading support provided by the mobile library staff, led to a measurable increase in children's reading proficiency and a reported rise in enthusiasm for reading within families. This case demonstrates how targeted interventions can begin to address the challenges posed by book deserts and foster literacy development even in resource-limited environments. Literacy scattering could potentially refer to the diffusion or spread of literacy skills and practices within a population or across different domains of life. Just as light scattering occurs when it encounters particles and deviates in multiple directions, literacy scattering might describe how literacy skills, once acquired, are applied in various contexts, from reading a novel to understanding a work email, from writing a grocery list to participating in an online forum. It could also refer to the way literacy practices are shared and learned through social interactions and across communities. High literacy scattering might imply a widespread and diverse application of literacy skills throughout society. Case study: Advanced literacy scattering. A highly educated populace demonstrates advanced literacy scattering by seamlessly applying sophisticated comprehension and communication skills across diverse professional and personal domains. For instance, a scientist might not only read complex research papers but also effectively communicate findings to policymakers, write compelling grant proposals, and engage in nuanced public discourse about their field, showcasing a broad and impactful diffusion of advanced literacy practices. Literacy collision describes the challenges and conflicts arising from differing approaches to literacy instruction or varied understandings of what literacy entails. This can manifest as student resistance to new pedagogies, clashes between students' diverse literacy backgrounds and school expectations, or tensions surrounding the integration of digital literacies with traditional methods. These collisions highlight the dynamic nature of literacy learning and the importance of navigating these differences for effective and inclusive education. Case study: Navigating epistemic literacy collision in STEM. In a university-level STEM program, a literacy collision emerges when physics students, highly proficient in mathematical and symbolic reasoning, struggle with the nuanced argumentation and rhetorical conventions expected in scientific writing for publication. Their ingrained approach to problem solving, focused on precise calculations and definitive answers, clashes with the need for discursive explanations, acknowledgement of uncertainty, and persuasive articulation of findings based on complex data. Successfully navigating this epistemic literacy collision requires explicit instruction in disciplinary writing practices and a conscious effort to bridge the gap between quantitative and qualitative modes of scientific communication. Literacy absorbance, drawing the analogy from how certain materials absorb light energy, could metaphorically represent the degree to which individuals or societies deeply internalize and are transformed by literacy. It might describe the capacity to not just decode text but to absorb its meaning, integrate it into one's existing knowledge, and allow it to shape one's understanding of the world, values, and actions. High literacy absorbance might suggest a population that engages deeply with texts, leading to significant cognitive and social development, and a strong integration of literacy into their personal and collective lives. Case study: Advanced literacy absorbance. Scholarly immersion in a discipline exemplifies advanced literacy absorbance. A historian, for example, not only reads extensively on a specific era but internalizes the historical context, debates, and interpretations to such a degree that it profoundly shapes their understanding of present-day events, informs their own original research perspectives, and influences their critical analysis of contemporary societal issues, demonstrating a deep and transformative engagement with textual knowledge. Structured literacy is a research-based, explicit, systematic, and cumulative approach to teaching reading and writing, particularly beneficial for dyslexia. It focuses on the foundational structure of language, directly teaching 6 key elements: phonology, sound structure, sound symbol association, phonics, syllable instruction, morphology, word parts, syntax, sentence structure, and semantics, meaning. Instruction is explicit, follows a logical sequence, builds upon prior learning, is diagnostic, and often multimodal. By directly teaching these building blocks, structured literacy aims to develop proficient readers and writers. Case study: Structured literacy intervention for reading difficulties. A struggling 4th grade student, significantly behind in reading despite general classroom instruction, received targeted intervention using a structured literacy approach. This involved explicit teaching of phoneme-grapheme correspondences, syllable types, and morphemes, delivered systematically and cumulatively. Within 6 months, the student demonstrated marked improvement in decoding skills, reading fluency, and spelling accuracy, outperforming peers who did not receive this targeted instruction. This case highlights the efficacy of structured literacy in directly addressing foundational literacy deficits and accelerating reading development. One possible interpretation of literacy pooling could relate to the sharing or combining of literacy resources and expertise within a community or group. Imagine a scenario where individuals with varying strengths in different aspects of literacy, e.g., one person excels at reading comprehension, another at writing mechanics, a third at digital literacy, come together to support each other's learning. This pooling of skills and knowledge could lead to a collective improvement in overall literacy within the group. For example, in a classroom setting, peer tutoring or collaborative writing projects could be seen as forms of literacy pooling, where students learn from each other's strengths and support each other's weaknesses. Case study: Community literacy pooling. A community-led initiative establishes a literacy exchange where volunteers with strong reading skills offer one-on-one support to adults seeking to improve their literacy. Simultaneously, individuals proficient in digital literacy offer workshops on navigating online resources for information and job searching. This pooling of diverse literacy strengths within the community creates a supportive ecosystem for collective literacy growth, leveraging existing expertise to address varied literacy needs. Another potential understanding of literacy pooling might connect to the idea of aggregating data or information related to literacy levels or interventions. Researchers or policymakers might pool data from various studies or assessments to gain a broader and more comprehensive understanding of literacy trends, identify effective instructional practices, or allocate resources more efficiently. In this sense, the pool represents a collection of literacy-related information used for analysis and decision-making. A third, more speculative interpretation could draw an analogy to the concept of risk pooling in insurance. Literacy pooling might hypothetically refer to a system where individuals or communities with varying levels of literacy are brought together in a way that provides mutual support or resources for literacy development. However, this interpretation is less directly evident and would require a specific context to be meaningful. Case study: Data pooling for literacy policy. A national education ministry pools data from various regional literacy assessments and research studies on effective reading interventions. By aggregating this diverse information into a central database, policymakers gain a more comprehensive understanding of national literacy trends, identify areas of greatest need, and can make more informed decisions regarding the allocation of funding and the implementation of evidence-based literacy programs across the country. Literacy funding is a multifaceted issue involving diverse sources and significant implications for individuals and societies. Financial support for literacy initiatives comes from various avenues, including government allocations at local, state, and national levels, often integrated within broader education budgets. Philanthropic organizations, both large foundations and smaller family trusts, play a crucial role by providing grants to nonprofit literacy organizations and educational institutions. Corporations also contribute through corporate social responsibility programs, recognizing the link between a literate workforce and economic prosperity. International organizations, such as UNESCO and the World Bank, provide funding and technical assistance for literacy programs globally, particularly in developing countries. Community-based fundraising efforts and individual donations further supplement these larger funding streams. However, securing adequate and sustained literacy funding faces numerous challenges. Competition for limited resources among various social and educational priorities can make consistent funding difficult to obtain. Economic downturns often lead to budget cuts that disproportionately affect social programs like literacy initiatives. Furthermore, demonstrating the long-term impact of literacy programs can be challenging for organizations seeking funding, as the benefits may not be immediately apparent or easily quantifiable in the short term. The administrative burden associated with grant applications and reporting requirements can also strain the resources of smaller literacy organizations. Moreover, funding priorities may shift over time, requiring literacy advocates to constantly adapt their approaches and demonstrate relevance to current societal needs. The impact of literacy funding is far-reaching. Adequate financial support enables the implementation and expansion of effective literacy programs, leading to improved reading and writing skills for individuals of all ages. This, in turn, has a multiplier effect, contributing to better educational attainment, increased employment opportunities, improved health outcomes, and greater civic engagement. Investing in literacy through consistent and strategic funding is therefore not merely an educational expenditure but a crucial investment in human capital and the overall well-being and progress of communities and nations. Without sufficient financial resources, the goal of achieving universal literacy and its associated benefits remains a significant challenge. Case study: Strategic Philanthropy and Longitudinal Psychological Literacy Impact. A prominent philanthropic organization strategically allocated significant, long-term funding to a network of community-based mental health initiatives focused on enhancing psychological literacy within vulnerable populations. Comprehensive longitudinal assessments, integrated into the funded programs, track participants' understanding of mental health concepts, help-seeking behaviors, and self-efficacy in managing emotional well-being over several years. This advanced case illustrates how sustained, targeted funding, combined with rigorous evaluation, not only demonstrably improved psychological literacy and mental health outcomes for participants but also generated valuable data on effective psychoeducational models, informing broader public health strategies and resource allocation. In the realm of literacy, funding represents the allocation of financial resources directed towards the improvement and advancement of literacy skills at both individual and collective levels. This investment fuels a diverse array of programs, initiatives, and organizations dedicated to fostering literacy proficiencies, encompassing reading, writing, and broader language abilities across all age demographics. The sources of this crucial financial support are varied, originating from governmental agencies at different levels, philanthropic nonprofit entities driven by social missions, and contributions from private donors recognizing the importance of literacy. The overarching aim of this dedicated funding is to elevate literacy rates within populations, thereby empowering individuals through enhanced educational opportunities and greater access to the vast landscape of information available through written and other forms of communication. Case study: Community initiative boosts literacy opportunity. The Red to Rise initiative in a low-income suburb tackled literacy challenges through enhanced school resources, community learning hubs offering books and digital access, family literacy workshops, and free book distribution. Over 5 years, this multi-pronged approach led to measurable improvements in school reading scores, increased adult literacy program participation, and a greater community emphasis on reading, demonstrating the effectiveness of expanding literacy opportunity through interconnected support systems. Legal literacy encompasses the understanding of fundamental legal principles, rights, and obligations that govern individuals' interactions within a society. It goes beyond simply knowing the law exists. A legally literate person possesses the ability to identify legal issues, understand basic legal terminology and concepts, and navigate the legal system effectively. This includes awareness of constitutional rights, understanding different types of laws, e.g. criminal, civil, administrative, and knowing where to seek legal information and assistance when needed. Legal literacy empowers individuals to protect their rights, fulfill their responsibilities as citizens, and participate more meaningfully in a society governed by the rule of law. It fosters a sense of civic responsibility and enables individuals to make informed decisions regarding legal matters that may impact their lives, from consumer rights and employment law to family law and interactions with law enforcement. Ultimately, legal literacy contributes to a more just and equitable society by equipping individuals with the knowledge necessary to understand and engage with the legal framework that shapes their lives. Case study: Empowering marginalized communities through proactive legal literacy training. A nonprofit legal aid organization implemented a proactive legal literacy training program targeting newly arrived refugees and asylum seekers. Recognizing their heightened vulnerability to exploitation and legal misunderstandings, the program went beyond reactive case assistance. It provided culturally sensitive, multilingual workshops on key areas of Australian law relevant to their lives, including tenancy rights, employment law, and interactions with law enforcement. Follow-up surveys revealed a significant increase in participants' confidence in understanding their rights and navigating legal situations, leading to fewer instances of exploitation and greater engagement with legal protections, demonstrating the empowering impact of proactive legal literacy education within a vulnerable population. Literacy freedom, a foundational human right, transcends mere decoding to empower individuals through sophisticated language comprehension, critical analysis, and effective communication, thereby enabling informed participation, self-expression, and enhanced autonomy within society. Its significance for both individual advancement and societal progress, driving economic development, social cohesion, and democratic engagement, is paramount. Nevertheless, global attainment of literacy freedom remains challenged by systemic issues such as socio-economic disparities, educational inequities, and informational complexities, necessitating concerted, multi-sectoral strategies to ensure universal access to robust literacy skills as a cornerstone of a just and equitable global landscape. Literacy determinism, a short case study. Scenario: identical twins, raised separately from birth. Twin A, raised in a home filled with books, where parents read daily and encouraged literacy from infancy. They attended well-funded schools with robust reading programs. Twin B, raised in a home with limited reading materials and parents with low literacy levels who rarely engaged in literacy activities. They attended under-resourced schools with struggling literacy support. Outcome: by adolescence, Twin A demonstrates significantly higher reading comprehension, vocabulary, and writing skills compared to Twin B. Despite their identical genetic predispositions, their vastly different early literacy environments have resulted in markedly divergent literacy abilities. Conclusion: this case strongly supports literacy determinism, highlighting how early and consistent exposure to a literacy-rich environment can powerfully shape an individual's literacy development, seemingly overriding inherent potential in the absence of such nurturing. A post-literate society envisions a future where technological advancements lead to a decline in widespread literacy, not necessarily illiteracy, but a reduced reliance on reading and writing as primary modes of communication and information access. This shift would see visual, auditory, and interactive digital media becoming dominant, potentially offering more accessible information delivery but also raising concerns about the erosion of critical thinking skills fostered by deep textual engagement, the preservation of written cultural heritage, and the potential for new forms of digital inequality and manipulation. While offering potential benefits in accessibility and immediacy, the implications of a move away from widespread literacy are complex and warrant careful consideration regarding the future of knowledge, communication, and societal structures. Case study: the algorithmic gatekeeper in a post-literate society. In a near-future society with significantly reduced functional literacy due to reliance on personalized AI interfaces for information, a critical vulnerability emerges. Algorithmic gatekeepers, designed to curate and deliver multimedia content based on user preferences, inadvertently create echo chambers and filter out diverse perspectives. Individuals, lacking strong textual analysis skills to independently verify information or seek alternative viewpoints, become increasingly susceptible to misinformation and manipulation embedded within the dominant algorithmic feeds, demonstrating a critical societal consequence of diminished literacy in the face of advanced information technology. Literacy synthesis refers to the advanced cognitive skill of integrating information, ideas, and perspectives from multiple sources to create a new, coherent understanding or interpretation. It goes beyond simply summarizing individual texts or identifying similarities and differences. Instead, it involves actively analyzing the relationships between sources, identifying patterns, drawing connections, resolving contradictions, and ultimately constructing a novel and more comprehensive understanding of a topic. This process requires critical thinking, the ability to identify key themes across different texts, and the capacity to articulate a unified perspective that synthesizes the various pieces of information into a cohesive whole. Effective literacy synthesis demonstrates a deep engagement with the source material and the ability to generate new meaning through the thoughtful combination of existing knowledge. Case study: synthesizing conflicting historical accounts. When researching the causes of a major historical event, a student engages in literacy synthesis by examining multiple primary and secondary sources that offer differing perspectives and interpretations. Instead of simply summarizing each account, the student critically analyzes the evidence presented by each source, identifies areas of agreement and disagreement, considers the author's biases and historical contexts, and ultimately constructs their own nuanced understanding of the event, integrating the various perspectives into a cohesive and well-supported analysis. This demonstrates advanced literacy synthesis by creating new meaning from diverse information. To explain balanced literacy long concisely in a single paragraph means to articulate its core principles, key components, underlying rationale, and ongoing debates in a thorough yet condensed manner. Balanced literacy, emerging from the phonics versus whole language debate, is an instructional philosophy integrating diverse literacy components like read-alouds, shared reading, guided reading, independent reading, word study, and various writing activities to foster well-rounded reading and writing skills, aiming to develop both strong decoding abilities and a genuine appreciation for literature through a flexible and comprehensive approach that caters to varied learners and emphasizes differentiated instruction within a literacy-rich environment, though its implementation and the optimal balance of its components remain subjects of ongoing discussion and scrutiny in the field of literacy education, particularly concerning the explicit and systematic teaching of foundational skills like phonics. Case study: the impact of high-stakes literacy testing on curriculum. A state-mandated high-stakes literacy test, requiring students to meet a specific reading proficiency level for grade promotion, led to a significant shift in classroom instruction. Teachers increasingly focused on test-specific skills and content, often narrowing the curriculum to prioritize tested areas and employing rote memorization techniques over deeper comprehension strategies and fostering a love of reading. While test scores initially showed marginal improvement, educators observed a decline in students' overall engagement with literature and their ability to think critically about texts beyond the test format, illustrating the potential for high-stakes assessments to inadvertently shape and sometimes limit the scope of literacy education. Literacy assessment involves various methods to understand an individual's reading, writing, and communication skills. One approach is observing a student during reading activities, noting their fluency, accuracy, and comprehension strategies. Another method involves analyzing writing samples for elements like sentence structure, vocabulary use, spelling, and organization of ideas. Standardized tests can also be used to compare a student's performance against a larger group, often assessing specific skills like phonological awareness, decoding, and reading comprehension through multiple-choice questions or close passages. Informal reading inventories involve having a student read aloud and answer comprehension questions to determine their independent, instructional, and frustration reading levels. Furthermore, assessing oral language skills through conversations, storytelling, or retellings provides insights into vocabulary, grammar, and understanding. Portfolios of student work collected over time can also offer a holistic view of literacy development and progress across different tasks and genres. Effective literacy assessment often combines these different approaches to gain a comprehensive understanding of an individual's strengths and areas for growth. Case study: for literacy assessment of a multilingual learner with suspected learning disabilities involves a 10-year-old recent arrival struggling with English literacy. The assessment includes gathering language background, evaluating any L1 literacy, assessing English oral proficiency, and conducting targeted English literacy tests. Phonological awareness, decoding, fluency. Learn what information is important, make connections between different parts of the text and external knowledge, and understand the author's intent and message. Furthermore, relevance in fluent literacy extends to the ability to select appropriate texts for specific needs and to use literacy skills effectively in various real-world situations. It's the bridge between simply reading words and truly understanding and applying the information in a meaningful way. Fluent literacy, therefore, encompasses not just the mechanical aspects of reading but also the cognitive and contextual understanding that makes literacy a relevant and powerful tool for learning, communication, and personal growth. Case study: linguistically, fluent literacy involves automaticity in phonological and orthographic processing, enabling rapid word recognition and decoding. It encompasses strong morphological and syntactic awareness for efficient sentence parsing and meaning extraction. Furthermore, a rich semantic lexicon facilitates deep comprehension and interconceptual connections within texts. Relevance, from a linguistic perspective, involves discourse comprehension, recognizing cohesive devices and text structures to follow logical flow. Pragmatic understanding allows readers to interpret authorial intent and contextual significance, ultimately enabling them to discern pertinent information based on their existing knowledge and purpose. Literacy, in its most expansive sense, transcends the rudimentary ability to decode written symbols or articulate spoken words. It represents a dynamic, multifaceted capacity that integrates comprehension, critical analysis, and the application of knowledge across diverse domains. When considering literacy totals, if we interpret this as the aggregate measure of literacy within a population or system, it becomes a metric not merely of individual competence but of societal intellectual capital. This total is not static, it evolves with cultural, technological, and educational currents, reflecting a collective ability to engage with increasingly complex texts, media, and ideas. Case study. South Korea's post-war transformation exemplifies the critical role of human capital development, specifically the elevation of functional literacy beyond basic decoding to encompass critical literacy, information literacy, and digital literacy, all contributing to a significant increase in the national stock of knowledge. This strategic investment in universal education, encompassing primary, secondary, and tertiary levels, alongside adult literacy programs, directly impacted the cognitive skills and knowledge base of the population, fostering a high degree of absorptive capacity for new technologies and global economic trends. The resulting enhanced labor productivity and innovation ecosystem fueled rapid economic growth, demonstrating a strong positive correlation between a high national literacy rate, understood in its comprehensive sense, and macroeconomic indicators such as GDP per capita and competitiveness. Furthermore, the increase in civic literacy and media literacy contributed to a more informed and engaged citizenry, strengthening democratic institutions and fostering social capital, illustrating the broader societal benefits beyond purely economic metrics. At a more advanced level, literacy encompasses not just linguistic fluency but also digital, scientific, and cultural proficiencies, each interwoven with the others. For instance, a society's literacy total might be assessed by its citizens' ability to navigate algorithmic biases in online platforms, interpret statistical models in public policy debates, or synthesize historical narratives with contemporary ethical dilemmas. This holistic view demands a framework that accounts for both breadth, how many individuals possess these skills, and depth, the degree of mastery and critical insight they exhibit. Quantifying such a total requires sophisticated methodologies, perhaps blending standardized assessments with qualitative evaluations of creative and analytical output. Case study: consider Finland's consistent high ranking in international educational assessments like PISA program for international student assessment. Finland's success isn't solely attributable to high rates of basic reading literacy, but rather to a comprehensive educational philosophy that cultivates advanced literacies across its population. Their system emphasizes equitable access to quality education at all levels, fostering not just decoding skills but deep comprehension, critical thinking, problem-solving, and collaboration. Finnish students consistently demonstrate strong scientific literacy, evidenced by their ability to understand and apply scientific concepts, interpret data, and draw evidence-based conclusions. Furthermore, their curriculum integrates digital literacy from an early age, equipping students to navigate online environments critically, evaluate digital information, and utilize technology effectively for learning and creation. Culturally, the emphasis on reading for pleasure and the strong public library system contribute to a high degree of cultural literacy, enabling citizens to engage with diverse perspectives and participate actively in cultural discourse. Finland's approach avoids high-stakes standardized testing in early years, focusing instead on holistic development and teacher autonomy, which fosters a learning environment conducive to developing the depth of mastery and critical insight necessary for navigating complex information and societal challenges. The consistently strong performance across various literacy domains in international comparisons suggests a high literacy total in the advanced sense, reflecting a society equipped not just with foundational skills but with the multifaceted proficiencies needed to thrive in a technologically advanced and globally interconnected world, effectively demonstrating the synthesis of digital, scientific, and cultural proficiencies within their citizenry. Conclusion: the multidimensional exploration of literacy presented here reveals it not as a static skill but as a dynamic, polyphonic ecosystem, one that has shaped human cognition since the Sumerian cuneiform revolution and now faces unprecedented challenges in our algorithm-driven age. This ecosystem comprises interdependent literacies: linguistic, numerical, visual, digital, ecological, that collectively form the neural architecture for 21st century agency. Three radical insights emerge from synthesizing these threads: the neurocultural feedback loop of literacy evolution, the transition from token-based accounting in ancient Uruk to TikTok's visual semiotics demonstrates literacy's role as humanity's extended cognitive phenotype. Each literacy innovation, alphabets, printing presses, emojis, reshapes neural plasticity while creating new epistemic hierarchies. The case of structured literacy interventions reveals how targeted neuroeducational strategies can rewire dyslexic brains, suggesting future cognitive customization of literacy pedagogy through AI neurofeedback systems. However, this technological promise must be tempered by the literacy determinism case study, which exposes how environmental enrichment creates neurobiological advantages that compound across generations, a Matthew effect requiring counterbalance through epigenetic literacy policies. The quantum literacy paradox: while global literacy rates rise, functional literacy depth declines, a paradox mirroring quantum superposition where populations simultaneously become more literate and less critically engaged. The US-Australian fiction decline and post-literate society case study exemplify this. Societies float between states of hyper-literacy, decoding endless digital texts, and deep illiteracy, inability to synthesize meaning. Resolving this paradox demands redefining literacy as quantum reading, the skill to maintain coherent understanding across fragmented information states. The literacy absorbance case studies historian, synthesizing ancient texts and modern crises, models this quantum approach, using disciplinary literacy as an entangling force across temporal realities. Literacy as symbiotic infrastructure: the book Desert case studies mobile libraries and China's 2000-year Keju examination system reveal literacy's dual role as both infrastructure roads for knowledge circulation and meta-infrastructure, the map-making tool for infrastructure design. This symbiosis reaches crisis potential in algorithmic societies where, as the post-literate society case warns, literacy atrophy enables predatory architectures of attention. The solution lies in infrastructural literacy, teaching populations to read society's hidden technical substrates: 5G networks, blockchain, AI models as fluently as they decode street signs. Japan's Society 5.0 education reforms, embedding IoT literacy in elementary curricula, pioneer this approach. Building on these insights, we propose the Literacy Ecology Framework (LEF) for Anthropocene education. Mycelial literacy networks replace hierarchical literacy transmission with decentralized, fungal models where community literacy pooling, as seen in refugee legal literacy initiatives, becomes self-organizing knowledge mycelium. Digital platforms could enable cross-pollination between Afghan women's oral poetry circles and Brazilian favela meme creators, fostering a global literacy rhizome. Entangled temporalities curriculum integrate cuneiform tablet analysis with NFT creation, teaching literacy as a palimpsest where ancient and future scripts cohabit. Students might transcribe Gilgamesh fragments using AR tablets while encoding them into decentralized knowledge ledgers, becoming literate across 5,000 years of media evolution. Neurosocial literacy feedback systems combine neuroimaging tracking literacy's brain impacts with social listening AI to create real-time literacy maps. A child struggling with inference comprehension could receive targeted neural exercises while their community's literacy ecosystem adapts, perhaps triggering automated book deliveries to identified literacy deserts. The J.O.L.A.L.F courses focus on foundational skills must therefore seed what biologist Andreas Weber calls poetic ecology literacy as a life-sustaining ritual connecting individual neurobiology to planetary consciousness. In this vision, a Senegalese fisherman interpreting satellite data on warming oceans employs the same literacy ecosystem as a Wall Street quant parsing cryptocurrency white papers, both navigating complexity through layered literacies. Ultimately, the crisis of declining fiction engagement and scientific literacy per Sagan's warning signals not cultural decay but literacy's metamorphosis. Just as medieval monks' tactile vellum literacy gave way to Enlightenment print cosmopolitanism, our era demands quantum hieroglyphics, a literacy ecosystem fluent in AI's latent spaces, climate data sonifications, and the neuromorphic code of brain-computer interfaces. The challenge is ensuring this ecosystem remains a commons for human flourishing rather than a privatized grid of cognitive control. Only through reimagining literacy as both ancient human technology and future cognitive scaffold can we navigate the threshold epoch ahead. Final assessment. Below is a list of 50 literacy questions designed for a final assessment tailored to the J.O.L.A.L.F course, which focuses on foundational literacy skills, reading, writing, and basic oral communication to equip individuals for everyday life and work within their specific context. The questions span multiple choice, short answer, and practical application formats, aligning with the course syllabus and broader literacy concepts provided. Multiple choice questions 1 to 20. What is the primary purpose of literacy as defined in the course? A. To memorize texts. B. To read, write, and communicate effectively in daily contexts. C. To understand complex scientific theories. D. To create artistic literature. Which skill is not a key learning area in the J.O.L.A.L.F course syllabus? A. Reading basic texts. B. Writing clear messages. C. Advanced statistical analysis. D. Speaking effectively in common situations. What does comprehension involve in the context of this course? A. Memorizing word lists. B. Grasping the meaning of written and spoken language. C. Writing long essays. D. Performing mathematical calculations. According to global literacy data, what is the approximate literacy rate for individuals aged 15 and above as of February 2025? A. 65%. B. 86.3%. C. 90%. D. 96%. Which region has some of the lowest literacy rates globally? A. North America. B. Sub-Saharan Africa. C. Western Europe. D. East Asia. What is a foundational element of reading skills taught in the course? A. Understanding complex literary symbolism. B. Decoding basic texts and instructions. C. Writing poetry. D. Analyzing historical documents. Which of the following is an example of a practical writing task from the syllabus? A. Composing a novel. B. Creating a clear note or message. C. Writing a scientific research paper. D. Translating ancient texts. What does Eric Pavirnaga suggest about social literacy in the provided quote? A. It requires advanced mathematical skills. B. It involves understanding others through shared reading and awareness. C. It is irrelevant to daily life. D. It depends solely on digital tools. Which gender has a higher global literacy rate based on the data? A. Males 90%. B. Females 82.7%. C. Both are equal. D. Data is inconclusive. What is the main goal of the J.O.L.A.L.F course? A. To teach advanced literature analysis. B. To equip individuals with essential literacy skills for everyday life and work. C. To prepare students for university-level writing. D. To focus solely on numeracy skills. Which of the following is a method used in the course to build vocabulary? A. Solving algebraic equations. B. Practical exercises and reading tasks. C. Painting and drawing. D. Memorizing historical dates. What is a key characteristic of literature as an art form? A. It focuses only on factual reporting. B. It explores human experiences and emotions creatively. C. It avoids cultural contexts. D. It is limited to mathematical data. What does Carl Sagan imply about scientific illiteracy in the provided excerpt? A. It is a minor issue in modern society. B. It affects a significant portion of the population and is a serious concern. C. It only applies to historical contexts. D. It has no impact on societal progress. Which ancient civilization is credited with developing cuneiform script around 3200 BCE? A. Egyptian. B. Sumerian. C. Chinese. D. Greek. What revolutionized the dissemination of written materials in the 15th century? A. The invention of the Internet. B. The printing press by Johannes Gutenberg. C. The development of hieroglyphics. D. The creation of the Phoenician alphabet. In the course, What is an example of a speaking and listening skill? A writing a detailed report. B communicating effectively in common situations. C solving a math problem. D reading a novel silently. What percentage of adults in OECD countries have low numeracy proficiency level 1 or below? A 10%, B 25%, C 56%, D 14%. Which of the following best defines layperson literacy as specialized skills for academic research? B basic reading, writing, and comprehension for everyday life. C advanced programming abilities. D understanding musical notation. What is a benefit of strong layperson literacy? A improved health outcomes and civic engagement. B ability to compose symphonies. C mastery of quantum physics. D expertise in ancient languages. What is the purpose of the Course S assessment method? A to evaluate participation and basic skill demonstrations. B to test advanced literary critique. C to measure artistic creativity. D to assess complex statistical knowledge. Short answer questions 21 to 35. Define literacy in one sentence based on the Course S focus. List 3 key learning areas from the J.O.L.A.L.F syllabus. Explain why comprehension is important for reading basic texts. How does writing a clear message demonstrate literacy skills? What is one practical exercise you might use to improve speaking skills based on the global literacy data? Why might females have a lower literacy rate than males? How does vocabulary building support the Course S goals? What is one difference between literacy and literature as described? How did the printing press impact literacy historically? Why might low literacy levels limit engagement with complex literature? What is one way the course helps individuals participate in their community? How does oral communication relate to the Course S speaking and listening goals? What is one challenge faced by least developed countries in improving literacy rates? According to Eric Pavir-Nagy's quote, how can reading connect people socially? How does the Course S focus on practical tasks prepare individuals for work? Practical application questions 36 to 50. Read this short instruction. Turn off the light before leaving. Explain what it means in your own words. Write a brief note 2 to 3 sentences to a coworker asking them to meet you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Listen to a simple spoken sentence, e.g., please bring the book to the table and write down what you heard. Identify the main idea in the sentence. Reading helps us learn new things and understand the world. Rewrite this sentence clearly. The meeting is at noon, bring your notes. Create a 3-item list of daily tasks you might read or write in your role at J.O.L.A.L.F. Explain how you would ask a question verbally in a common situation, like requesting directions. Read this text. Water is essential for life. Write one question you could ask about it. Correct this sentence. She go to the store every day. Describe a situation where you might use listening skills from the course in daily life. Write a short message, 2 sentences thanking someone for their help. Identify one word in this sentence that might be new vocabulary for a learner. The serene lake reflected the mountains. Demonstrate comprehension by summarizing this. Good communication helps us work together and solve problems. Create a simple form with 3 fields, e.g. name, date, task that could be used at work. Explain how you would use reading skills to follow a basic work instruction, like check the schedule daily. These questions assess foundational literacy skills: reading, writing, comprehension, vocabulary, and oral communication as outlined in the J.O.L.A.L.F syllabus, while incorporating broader literacy concepts and data from the provided text. They are designed to be practical, relevant, and accessible, reflecting the course's aim to equip individuals for everyday life and work within their specific context. Below is an additional list of 50 literacy questions for the J.O.L.A.L.F course final assessment. These questions build on the foundational focus of reading, writing, and oral communication skills from the syllabus, while offering a broader range and slightly more challenging options to accommodate learners with stronger skills in specific areas. They maintain the course's practical emphasis and avoid overly specific contextual assumptions, ensuring comprehensive coverage and flexibility. Multiple choice questions 51 to 70. What is a key purpose of writing skills in the J.O.L.A.L.F course? A. To compose advanced poetry. B. To create clear and functional messages. C. To analyze philosophical texts. D. To design computer programs. Which of the following is an example of a comprehension skill taught in the course? A. Understanding the meaning of a simple instruction. B. Calculating statistical data. C. Painting a detailed picture. D. Memorizing historical events. What does the course emphasize about vocabulary? A. Learning rare scientific terms. B. Building a foundational understanding of common words. C. Mastering foreign languages. D. Avoiding new words entirely. Which skill is most directly tied to the course's speaking and listening goals? A. Writing a novel. B. Responding clearly to a spoken question. C. Solving math equations. D. Reading silently for hours. What does the global literacy data suggest about developed nations? A. They have literacy rates of 96% or higher. B. They struggle with low literacy rates. C. They have no literacy challenges. D. They focus only on numeracy. Which historical development made literacy more accessible to the masses? A. The invention of the alphabet. B. The creation of cuneiform. C. The printing press. D. The rise of digital media. What is one outcome of improved literacy from the course? A. Ability to perform complex surgery. B. Better participation in daily community activities. C. Mastery of musical composition. D. Expertise in astrophysics. How does literature differ from basic literacy skills? A. It focuses on practical communication. B. It uses creative language to explore human experiences. C. It avoids written forms. D. It is unrelated to reading. What is a common barrier to literacy in least developed countries? A. Excessive access to books. B. Limited educational resources. C. High digital literacy. D. Overemphasis on writing skills. Which of the following is a practical reading task from the syllabus? A. Analyzing a Shakespearean sonnet. B. Understanding a work schedule. C. Writing a legal contract. D. Composing a symphony. What does Carl Sagan's quote imply about the importance of literacy? A. It's only useful for entertainment. B. It's critical for understanding science and society. C. It's irrelevant in modern times. D. It's a luxury for the elite. What is a benefit of strong oral communication skills in daily life? A. Improved ability to navigate social situations. B. Enhanced painting techniques. C. Better mathematical problem solving. D. Increased musical talent. Which ancient writing system was used for administrative purposes in Mesopotamia? A. Hieroglyphics. B. Cuneiform. C. Oracle bone script. D. Phoenician alphabet. What is one sign of effective listening in the course? A. Ignoring spoken instructions. B. Accurately repeating what was said. C. Writing a long essay. D. Reading a book silently. What percentage of adults in OECD countries reach the highest numeracy proficiency levels? A. 14%. B. 25%. C. 56%. D. 90%. What is a key feature of the course's learning methods? A. Focus on theoretical debates. B. Use of practical exercises and tasks. C. Emphasis on advanced coding. D. Study of ancient literature. Which of the following reflects a goal of layperson literacy? A. Understanding quantum mechanics. B. Completing a simple form accurately. C. Writing a best-selling novel. D. Performing statistical analysis. What does Eric Pavirnaga suggest about connecting with others? A. It requires shared literacy experiences. B. It depends on physical proximity alone. C. It's impossible without technology. D. It's unrelated to reading. What is one way the course prepares individuals for work? A. Teaching them to read and follow basic instructions. B. Training them in advanced chemistry. C. Focusing on artistic expression. D. Emphasizing competitive sports. Which of the following best describes the course's assessment approach? A. High-stakes written exams only. B. Participation and demonstration of basic skills. C. Oral debates on philosophy. D. Complex mathematical proofs. Short answer questions 71 to 85. In one sentence, explain how reading skills support daily life according to the course. List 2 practical writing tasks you might encounter in a workplace. How does listening carefully improve communication in common situations? Why is it important to build a foundational vocabulary for J.O.L.A.L.F learners? What is one way the course helps learners understand written information? How might low literacy rates in a region affect community engagement? Describe one benefit of the printing press on literacy development. What is one difference between the course's focus and advanced literature studies? How does speaking clearly contribute to effective communication? Why might sub-Saharan Africa face literacy challenges based on the data? What is one way to practice comprehension skills using a short text? How does the course's focus on practical tasks align with its goals? What role does oral tradition play in societies with low literacy historically? How can writing a simple note demonstrate literacy progress? What is one way literacy empowers individuals? As noted in the broader text, practical application questions 86 to 100. Read this instruction, close the door after entering. Rewrite it in your own words. Write a 2-sentence message to a friend asking them to call you later today. Imagine someone says, "Meet me at the park at 3 p.m. Write down what you would say to confirm. Identify the key point in the sentence. Listening helps us understand others and respond appropriately. Correct this sentence. He write a letter every week. Create a 4-item checklist for preparing for a workday using simple language. Explain how you would verbally ask for help with a task at work. Read this text. Teamwork makes tasks easier. Write a question about it. Write a short thank you note, 2 to 3 sentences to a teacher for explaining a lesson. Summarize this in your own words. Reading daily improves your knowledge and skills. Design a simple 3-field form, e.g. name, time, purpose for scheduling a meeting. Identify a potentially new vocabulary word in the sentence. The tranquil garden was full of flowers. Demonstrate listening skills by rewriting this spoken instruction in writing. Please put the papers on the desk. Write a brief instruction, 1 to 2 sentences for someone on how to check a list. Explain how you would use writing skills to leave a reminder for yourself about a task. Reference and citation, Adams, M.J. 2020. Beginning to read, thinking and learning about print. MIT Press. Baker, L. and Wigfield, A. 2019. Dimensions of Children's Motivation for Reading and Their Relations to Reading Activity and Reading Achievement. Reading Research Quarterly, 54-3, 301 to 316. https doi.org 10.1002 RRQ.255. Barton, D. and Hamilton, M. 2018. Local Literacies, Reading and Writing in One Community. Routledge. Kane, K. and Oakhill, J. 2021. Children's Comprehension Difficulties, The Role of Inference and Working Memory. Journal of Educational Psychology, 113-4, 789 to 802. https doi.org 10.1037 edu 0000623. Clay, M.M. 2017. An Observation Survey of Early Literacy Achievement 4th ed. Heinemann. Cummins, J. 2019. Bilingualism and Literacy, A Cognitive Framework for Learning. Journal of Multilingual and Multicultural Development, 45, 375 to 389. https doi.org 10.10800014346322.2018.15208221. Duke, N. K. and Cartwright, K.B. 2022. The Science of Reading Comprehension, Implications for Instruction. Reading Research Quarterly, 57 to 189 to 208. https doi.org 10.1002 RRQ.432. Airy, L.C. 2020. The Development of Phonemic Awareness and Its Role in Learning to Read. Scientific Studies of Reading, 24 1-15. https doi.org 10.108010888438.2019.16305447. Ferrero, E. N. T. Borowski, A. 2018. Literacy Before Schooling. Heinemann. Fisher, D. and Frey, N. 2021. Visible Learning for Literacy, Implementing Practices that Work Best. Corwin Press. G. J.P. 2017. Social Linguistics and Literacies, Ideology in Discourses 5th ed. Routledge. Goodman, K.S. 2019. On Reading, A Common Sense Look at the Nature of Language and the Science of Reading. Heinemann. Graham, S. and Hebert, M. 2020. Writing to Read, Evidence for How Writing Can Improve Reading. Journal of Writing Research, 12 45-67. https doi.org 10.17239 Jour 2020.12.01.02. Guthrie, J.T. and Wigfield, A. 2018. Engagement and Motivation in Reading. Handbook of Reading Research, 403-424. Halliday, M.A.K. 2017. Language as Social Semiotic, The Social Interpretation of Language and Meaning. Bloomsbury Academic. Heath, S.B. 2020. Ways with Words, Language, Life, and Work in Communities and Classrooms. Cambridge University Press. Jewell, C. 2019. Learning to Read and Write, a longitudinal study of 54 children from 1st through 4th grades. Journal of Educational Psychology, 111-6, 987-1002. https doi.org 10.10370003-066x.80.6.987. Kress, G. 2021. Multimodality, A Social Semiotic Approach to Contemporary Communication. Routledge. Lancashire, C. and Noble, M. 2018. New Literacies, Everyday Practices and Social Learning 4th ed. Open University Press. Lesaws, N. K. and Siegel, L.S. 2020. The Development of Reading in Children with English as a Second Language. Journal of Educational Psychology, 112-3, 456-470. https doi.org 10.1037edu00000398. Lew, D. J. Kinzer, C. K. Coiro, J. and Kamek, D. W. 2019, Toward a Theory of New Literacies Emerging from the Internet and Other Information and Communication Technologies. Reading Research Quarterly, 54 567-589. https doi.org 10.1002 RRQ.267. Lieberman, I.Y. 2017. Segmentation of the Spoken Word and Reading Acquisition. Bulletin of the Orton Society, 27 65-77. Lonergan, C.J. and Shanahan, T. 2021. Developing Early Literacy Skills, a Meta-Analysis of Early Interventions. Early Childhood Research Quarterly, 56, 112-126. https doi.org 10.1016 j.ecresc.2021.03.005. McCarthy, S.J. and Moj, E.B. 2020. Identity Matters, Literacies in Out-of-School Contexts. Journal of Literacy Research, 52 145-167. https doi.org 10.117710862996x209154992. Moll, L.C. and Gonzalez, N. 2018. Funds of Knowledge, Theorizing Practices in Households, Communities, and Classrooms. Educational Researcher, 47-6, 345-356. https doi.org 10.31020013189x187855514. Nagy, W. E. and Anderson, R. C. 2019. How Many Words Are There in Printed School English Reading Research Quarterly, 54 1, 89-105. https doi.org 10.1002 National Reading Panel. 2020. Teaching Children to Read, an evidence-based assessment of the scientific research literature on reading and its implications for reading instruction. National Institute of Child Health and Human Development. Newman, S. B. and Dickinson, D.K. eds. 2017. Handbook of Early Literacy Research Volume 3. Guilford Press. Paris, S.G. 2018. Constrained Skills of Reading, A Developmental Perspective. Journal of Literacy Research, 54, 421-443. https doi.org 10.117710862996x188035512. Perfetti, C.A. 2021. Reading Ability, Lexical Quality to Comprehension. Scientific Studies of Reading, 25 97-112. https doi.org 10.1080108843.2020.18282994. Presley, M. 2019. Reading Instruction That Works, The Case for Balanced Teaching 5th ed. Guilford Press. Purcell Gates, V. 2020. Other People's Words, The Cycle of Low Literacy. Harvard University Press. Razinski, T.V. 2021. The Fluent Reader, Oral and Silent Reading Strategies for Building Fluency. Scholastic Teaching Resources. Rose, D. and Meyer, A. 2018. Universal Design for Learning, Theory and Practice. Cast Professional Publishing. Rosenblatt, L.M. 2019. The Reader, the Text, the Poem, the Transactional Theory of the Literary Work. Southern Illinois University Press. Shanahan, T. 2020. The Science of Reading, Where Do We Go From Here? Reading Research Quarterly, 55 S1, S147, S159. https doi.org 10.1002 rrq.350. Snow, C. E. Burns, M.S. and Griffin, P. eds. 2018. Preventing reading difficulties in young children. National Academies Press. Stanovich, K.E. 2017. Matthew Effects in Reading, Some Consequences of Individual Differences in the Acquisition of Literacy. Journal of Education, 197 3, 24-39. Street, B.V. 2021. Literacy in Theory and Practice. Cambridge University Press. Sewells by E. N. Teal, W.H. 2019. Emergent Literacy, Writing and Reading Before Schooling. Handbook of Reading Research, 4, 77-98. Taylor, B. M. and Pearson, P.D. 2020. Teaching Reading, Effective Schools, Accomplished Teachers. Routledge. Torgezen, J.K. 2018. The Prevention of Reading Difficulties. Journal of School Psychology, 56 3, 123-137. https doi.org 10.10.j.jsp.2018.02.001. Tracy, D. H. and Morrow, L. M. 2021. Lenses on Reading, An Introduction to Theories and Models 4th ed. Guilford Press. Tunmer, W. E. and Chapman, J. W. 2019. The Simple View of Reading Revisited, a Meta-Analysis. Scientific Studies of Reading, 23 4, 301-318. https doi.org 10.1080108843.2019.15823321. Veludino, F.R.N. Scanlon, D.M. 2020. Emergent Literacy Skills and Later Reading Outcomes. Reading and Writing, 33 5, 1123-1145. https doi.org 10.1007s111445-019-09989-3. Verhoeven, L. N. Snow, C.E. eds. 2017. Literacy and Language Development in Multilingual Contexts. Routledge. Vygotsky, L.S. 2018. Thought and Language. MIT Press. Whitehurst, G.J. and Lonergan, C.J. 2021. Child Development and Emergent Literacy. Child Development, 92 3, 848-862. https doi.org 10.1111def.13523. Willingham, D.T. 2017. The Reading Mind, A Cognitive Approach to Understanding How the Mind Reads. Jossie Bass. Wolf, M. 2019. Proust and the Squid, The Story and Science of the Reading Brain. Harper Perennial.
Spit literacy, only dictionary I see is a dictionary, don't get in between, get it or leave, they give me a beat, I rip it to pieces, and when it's a leave, they disbelieve it, it's word to the wise, only dictionary I see is a dictionary, no word of a lie, they give me a beat, I serve on sight, you heard me, I'm serving it, you heard me, I'm serving it, verbal and turbulent, words on the verge of a vertical rise, I got the words on the lines, it's word to the wise, they like word to the wise, so word to the wise, word to the wise, word to the wise, yeah. Word to the wise, only dictionary I see is a dictionary, no word of a lie, so word to the wise, word to the wise, I got the words on the lines, it's word to the wise, they like word to the wise, and I only read dictionaries, dictionary I see is a dictionary, no word of a lie, they believe, they disbelieve it,